Strumming is for most guitar beginners the first thing they learn, and yet many struggle with strumming for quite a while or give up at that stage entirely. That's why I put these 15 strumming tricks together. If there's at least one new aspect in here helping you making your strumming better, then I reached my goal. Let's see. Number 1, start with the soft pick. Yes, that's a matter of sound as well, and I'm happy for you to choose the sound that suits you most. But I also find those soft picks here, like this one, are very forgiving and way easier to start on. This is a Jim Dunlop 0.60mm. Have a listen. This pick here is quite stiff, so it's a 1.14mm Tortex flex, and because it's so stiff it's not very forgiving, so it's harder to start on a pick like this, but I like the sound. Have a listen. Number 2, let your arm move consistently down and up. This is so important. If you haven't been doing that, then please do. Here's the reason why. When you move your arm consistently down and up, what you do is you establish a grid here, and on that grid lies every rhythm that you're ever gonna play. So what you do is you establish something that makes sure that you play correct rhythm. This is important, right? We have to do that when we're strumming. If you watch me play random down and up strokes, just random rhythms mixed up together, it always looks the same. So it doesn't matter if I play up strokes or down strokes, it always looks the same. If you would turn off the sound, you wouldn't even know what I'm playing. Number 3, work on your downstrokes and your upstrokes separately, which makes sense because if you let your arm fall, there's a very quick motion. So you let it fall and gravity helps you, it goes quickly through the strings. But if you lift your arm, that is very different. So the motion of letting your arm fall and lifting it is different, which means downstrokes and upstrokes sound different, right? But we want to make sure that they sound kind of like the same, that they work well together. Because just because of the fact it's a downstroke or it is an upstroke, we don't want them to sound differently. The exercise is simple. You play a few downstrokes, you try to remember the sound, and then you play a few upstrokes and try to match it like so. Number 4, explore different tempos. Let's say you have that strumming pattern. If you're comfortable playing it at that tempo, then it's time to explore different tempos. So go very extreme, extremely slow. But try to make it groove in that slow tempo. Then you go medium. You go medium up. You go up, you go as fast as you can. So they sound very different in those different tempos and they feel very different. So it's time to explore those different tempos once you got that strumming pattern down. Number 5, master one strumming pattern. It doesn't matter which one. If you think about it, you play a simple song, let's say 3 minutes long, medium tempo, one strumming pattern straight through. What you do in that 3 minutes is you play that strumming pattern 100 times and there's no break. So if you can play one strumming pattern once, that's cool. If you can play it twice in a row, that's fine. 4 times, cool. But what you need is, it needs to be that boring and that much on autopilot that you don't think about it anymore. Because you can't, in the end, if you play that music, you can't think about the strumming pattern anymore, about the mechanics of strumming and all that stuff. That needs to be that much prepared that it's so boring. So what I want you to do is take one strumming pattern and master it. Next, learn as many strumming patterns as you can. The thing is, in the end, you don't think about those strumming patterns anymore. You just play what suits the groove, what suits the song. But to get there, and you will get there, you learn a lot of those strumming patterns. So what I want you to do is pick one strumming pattern, learn it, master it, as I said before, and then you move quickly to the next one. And before you can even think about it, you will know how to strum a guitar. And now what do you do with all those strumming patterns? Yes, you mix them up. At first, have a plan, have a structure, stick with it, and then later on break it up and play as you go. Here's an example. explore different volumes, you can learn two things here. First of all, dynamics or your musical expression. So you will add something of value to your ability of playing guitar. And the second thing is, most of us are a bit too tense when playing the guitar, and I include me. And by playing at a low volume, even if it's not your usual kind of volume that you play, but just as an exercise, you will feel that your hands relax and your whole guitar playing will benefit from it. When you do that with your strumming, go very extreme, so extremely low. But also very loud. See how loud your guitar can be. We've already talked about the different guitar picks and how they sound like, but there are more methods to strum the guitar. So I encourage you to explore them and keep the ones that you like. So there are multiple ways to play with your fingers. You can play with your thumb, different guitar picks and all that. Here's a quick comparison. Number 10, play along with real music. You can do that from a very early stage on. Even if you can't play any chord shapes, you can just mute the strings and play the rhythm and see what it's like to be in the groove with your guitar. And of course, as you add more chords here and more to the ability of playing the guitar, you can play along with other music and see what it's like. This is so much fun. Plus, they don't stop, so it's a very honest feedback. This next point here is so big. Work on your chord changes, because all the strumming patterns, all the right hand technique is worth nothing if you don't have your chord changes ready. Just a few tips here. Take the shortest distance for each finger when you move from one chord to the other. For example, that G here to that D. The shortest distance for your ring finger will be one string up. So don't go down with all fingers and then come back. That takes too long. That is too far of a distance. But take the shortest distance possible for each finger. Also move all fingers at the same time and make them arrive at the same time. When you play your strumming patterns and you change your chords, it's not always possible to wait till the last stroke is over and then change to the next chord. Sometimes you have to lift the chord a bit earlier and play the last 1, 2, 3 strokes on the open strings and then land on the next one. The first stroke of the new chord, this is important. This needs to be correct. Have a look, have a close look, in fact, how I change chords with that strumming pattern. Strumming the guitar is quite complex, so there's a lot involved. The elbow's involved, the wrist is involved, the fingers are involved, all the joints of the fingers are involved. So I wouldn't lock either of those, because I feel like if I lock them, I get stuck in the strings. I have those strings popping out of the sound. If you experience that, then it might be because you're locking your elbow, you're locking your wrist or your fingers. So I wouldn't do that. I would keep that loose, and then you will get like that loose kind of good sound with your guitar playing. Next point on the list, test different guitar picks. You have to experience that yourself. They're so different. We talked about guitar picks before. This one here, for example, this is the thinnest I have. It sounds a bit like paper and it feels a bit like paper. It's very thin. This here, for example, has a very different structure. It's a bit like matte. It's not like that glossy like the other one. This was the 0.60 millimeter that I used before. This here is a classic Jazz 3. This is very stiff, but it's also very small. It has those round edges, so it kind of like goes around the strings. This is even more round at the edges, so it kind of like goes around the strings. It feels like this one here is a bit like rubber, so this is like very soft and rubber-like, and you get that warm sound from it. So they're all very much different. You have to test them yourself. If you need any help with your guitar playing, then check out highguitar.com, where you can get one-on-one lessons. I understand how frustrating it is to be enthusiastic about guitar playing but not know where to start or what to do next. And that's why every month I help dozens of people just like you to learn guitar quickly, and I'd love to do the same for you. This point here feels very natural, so when I play slow tempo, it's a lot coming from the elbow, so I move the whole arm, it's coming from here, that motion. When I play fast, it is less elbow, even no elbow at all, but it's coming from the wrist here. And also take a look when I play slowly. I have that span here that I move my arm up and down. When I play fast, I don't even play all strings anymore. Are you ready for Strumming 2.0? There is more about strumming in this video here. Enjoy watching this next.